Fedeo Stradic again. After attending those one-on-one feedback sessions last week, I thought I'd put that video together to address some of the formatting feedback I've been given because they're quite consistent, so I'm sure that would benefit the whole group. So bear with me, I'm gonna share my screen and basically show you Tableau. And I've got a few data sheets. I'm going to go through one by one and basically explain what I would do to make them a bit easier to read or a bit better from a data viz or design point of view. The first one is very simple horizontal bar chart that displays the states by CCs there. So the number of CCs, distinct. The first thing that jumped to mind is this one, is the color. And I say that quite often, that's why I'm mentioning this one, where all the states have got colors. As you can see, they all have colors. In that kind of situation, the color don't bring anything. There's no need to have different colors for the states. So what I would rather do instead is remove the color and then color by the metric that's of interest. Like for example, the condition of CCs, you bring that to color, and this time there's only one color. It's a gradient. You can still change the color scheme if you want in there, but at least there's only one color, so it's less confusing. The second thing I would do is sort them. So often you forget to sort your charts. So always the top, the bigger at the top. I've seen some people using that type of chart. It's good, but the research shows that horizontal charts are always easier to read. The third thing I would do with that chart is applying labels. As you see, there's no labels there, no number. So what you can do is you could click on that and apply numbers, 81, 89, sorry. So your brain doesn't really have to compute too much. Quickly, very quickly, it tells you that 89 is a number for that state. There's another little trick where you can change the alignment. See that it's default, but you can change to left. It's even better because the number is within the chart itself. So there's less space used by those numbers. Because you got the labels now, you might not need to have the header there at the bottom. You can keep it, but if you're short of time, you can just, by right-clicking, you just untick the show header, and the header will be gone. You can even display entire view, and that's it. You got a much better looking chart and much easier to read. The last tip I would do, and that's something I could repeat forever, is make sure you use titles. That's a good way to also explain charts. Especially if you're doing a screenshot for your assessment, you might do a screenshot, a snipping tool, or you might just do, I think there's an option there, export image. But I would encourage you to use those titles to explain what the chart is about. So the title there is coming from that title of the sheet there. I've seen a lot of people don't rename. So when you create a new sheet in Tableau, see sheet 9, 10, 11, people don't rename them and it becomes hard to work out which one is which. First of all, give good meaningful plain English titles for those charts. And you could say count of CCs per state, for example. But you can also double click. Keep the sheet name as it is, but in there you just change and you put number of corresponding state. So give a meaningful title. You can also play with the formatting. And what you can also do is use the subtitle. So if you click enter, and just have an extra explanation, what you can do, put that maybe lower, not bold. You can even have italic. So when you click on OK, see you got your main title and you got the sub header. And you basically explaining, you could say Jackland, whatever, it's as the state with the most correspondent. The last thing you could do is see the state name of the rows that shows up there. You can right click and then hide. So now that's a much better cleaned up sheet or tab in Tableau than you had before. And an example where you might want to display a trend analysis. So this one displays payment, sum of payments per month. You can see all the amounts there. So as I said before with labels, give it some context, add labels, because it's really hard when you don't have any labels. Your brain might just say, oh yeah, that's a peak there. And because it's a screenshot, the tooltip won't show. So your brain has to work super hard to work out, oh yeah, go on the left and work out what it is. So yeah, just put labels. I think that's important. Extra tip there for the labels. I would also format those numbers. So impact payment is the metric that we want to visualize. When you right click on it and go format, in the pane number, those are currency. It's a custom currency. You might want to have one decimal, might be enough. Display unit, you choose either thousands or millions. It depends on your level of detail. And also in there, those are not dollars, so they are rupees. So just take the acronym for the rupees, but at least you got more context, and then it's correct. It's not dollars, but see, there's a bit more context, and you got the labels in the chart. You could, in theory, get rid of this one if you wanted, or something. I'm right clicking on that, show header. Synchronise remove, because I've got the labels now, so I don't really need the thing on the left hand side. You can have it if you want, but I don't think it's required. As I said before, for this one, I wouldn't hide the header because you need the month. So keep the months, but if you wanted to rename months of payment date, that's another trick, is you can right click, edit axis, and in there, you can just have payment date, for example, or something else, and the title there would update. So that's a spot where you can update the title and make it tidy. Sometimes Tableau comes up with funky type of titles, and something I would make use of the title. Give it a good title, not a title I've used very quickly for the chart name. So that's with labels and charts. Dual axis is another a good topic of discussion. I've seen a lot of people creating dual axis, which are great, but I think there's a couple of issues sometimes. This one is a dual axis, meaning we got two metrics on the same row. As you can see, those are the lines. One is the count of CC, the other one is the payment amount. If I step back a bit and then remove the dual axis, so I've just pretend I've just dragged CCS there and I've dragged payment amount in the rows. So Tableau by default create me two charts. So it takes a bit of space. So the trick to reduce space is to create what we call a dual axis, which is you right click on the rows, go dual axis, and that's it, bang. Now you got two lines. Tableau even gave it different colors, which is great. And you can see on the right hand side, the blue is count of CC and the orange is payment amount. What I would want to draw your attention to is the scale. You might have seen that already, but the count of CC is measured by dozens. The highest peak is 100, you can see 100, and it goes down and it's currently 49. And as I said before, you can display labels just to make it easier. But talking about scale, payment amount, that's this one there. That's the orange one. We're talking about on 2 million up to 7 million. So something if I stick labels. We can even have match color if you want it. So I'm just going to match colors to make it fun. So the labels are matching the color of the chart. But what I want, which I think is a super important topic, is because they're not on the same scale, it can be quite misleading. You could almost think that those are equal, which is not the case because we compare 100 with 750K. So in theory, what you need to do with dual axis, that's in normal situation, you need to right click on the axis and synchronize the axis. But see what happens. When you do that, now we've got the same scale, 750,000. But your number, because you're only comparing a very small number compared to a very big number, it doesn't quite make sense. So if I do Control Z, that's something you might want to visualize, but it's misleading because you're comparing small numbers against big numbers. So the solution is to either synchronize the axis, but it looks a bit funky, a bit funny. What I would do instead is I would pick metrics that you can compare with each other. So payment amount in there could be potentially compared with impact payment amount. So compare apple with apple, not apple with oranges. So what I'm doing, I'm dragging your measure, replacing the CC. And now this time I've got payment amount and payment impact amount and payment. They synchronized, so which is good. But now you can see straight away that you can actually compare the numbers because the numbers are quite similar. I would also, as I did before, format the numbers to currency. I think those ones can be million. I'm not sure if R is a prefix for rupees, but you can find that. You can do a bit of research. Currency custom, million. It could be. Here we go. So now I'm comparing 7.4 million and the chart is actually much better. You can display the entire view because you got the axes are the same, they synchronize. What you could do, you could just remove the header there. But what I would do there is again use the dual axis, the title, sorry, as a good way to explain the chart. And the trick is this one would be to, so this one is impact payment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do impact payment. What is it called again? Impact payment amount versus payment amount. Versus payment amount. But the visual trick in there, as I said, what you could do is you could make the chart a bit bigger. Payment amount is impact payment. What you can do is you can color that with the color of the line, and the payment amount, which is orange, you can just use that and color that. Pick the color of your line chart and bang. So now when you got that kind of visual, you can hide this one, show header. You can keep this one or remove it, up to you. It doesn't matter too much, as long as you got the labels. You might want to keep one, up to you. You decide. But now you got the payment, impact payment, which is the blue line, payment amount, which is this one, and the data looks much better. The chart looks better. This one shows up there. You can just hide label. You might want to go add axis. See, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes Tableau give funky name because it's based on the metric. So you might want to give a better looking title. If you want to keep it, the main amount. Here we go. The title hasn't been updated there. But up to you. But I would potentially remove that completely, but make sure you keep those labels. But nice and clean, and you get a nice title. Another topic I want to cover is about maps. I love maps. I do a lot of maps on my Tableau public profile, but sometimes maps can be a bit misleading, a bit confusing. And that's the case for this one where if you don't have labels, like that's the example there, it's very hard to work out what it is. So first step would be to maybe add labels. So when you add labels by default, Tableau just plonk them anywhere. So one trick is to go alignment and a line vertical and then horizontal center. And you see that number goes inside the bubble. That's better looking. You might also want to format and have play with the color and the size. You can see you've done that before. It's quite simple. But I guess my biggest thing with maps is Tableau doesn't revisualize very well the smaller numbers. So if you're in your story, you just want to highlight something that's, say, you might want to talk about that state and when there's only one CC or whatever. Those numbers are lost because they're not revisualized, because the bubble is really based on the size. So sometimes having no labels, no bubble size makes more sense. So it's real choice, but keep that in mind when a lot of people have sizes. Obviously, you got a big size is good, but the small size is gone. So when you remove the size, but you play with the color, you see straight away that 89 and 39, 37, 38 are set with bigger numbers, but you're not hiding away those smaller numbers. So keep that in mind. I think that's an interesting design consideration. Bubble chart, that stuff is, as you know, it's very easy to do in Tableau. You just drag and drop a few dimension measures and click on bubble chart. The biggest thing with bubble chart is they might look pretty cool and pretty. This one displays issues 2 and number of CCS, but they're very, very confusing to read. No idea what's going on. There's a bigger bubble there, which is for that issue 2. But it doesn't quite make sense. So keep that in mind when you create a nice bubble chart. Maybe just add labels that might work, but see, when you add labels, it's very busy. So I'd caution using bubble charts because they're very hard. They might look good on the chart or even when you do a screenshot, but they're bloody hard to read, especially the smaller ones. You have no idea what's going on, because that's going to be a screenshot. Remember, there's no tooltip with your chart, so it's going to be very hard to understand what those things mean. So I would keep away from bubble chart. Same applied to a pie. This one is a pie chart that displays number of CCs. You might have covered that in your tutorial. Or pie chart, they use a lot. I wouldn't use them for more than 3 or 4 quadrants. They're very, very confusing to read. You might display some numbers in there, but as you can see, you might just be able to read this one 399, but the rest is very, very hard. So pie chart are okay for very small quadrants, like when you got 3 or 4, but this one has got 41 marks, so 41 issue 2, so it's way, way, way too many. Maybe if you had gender instead, like gender, see, you got only a few quadrants, they're all here, so that stuff makes it easier, potentially. Another trick I might just want to also share with you is so this one displays the absolute numbers, as you can see, 222, 220, but you could also do a percent of total. So I might just put that in labels instead to show you. So what I did, see now it displays 47%, 49%. That's this label there. So if I remove that and do it again, that's absolute number on the labels there. If I go click on that, or even right click, edit table calculation and go percent of total, which is that number. Tableau gives you a number, percent of number out of 100%. And same thing, you can just format that number. So it has to be a percentage, of course, and you can just stick to the 1 or 0 decimal. But in that kind of context, it might work when you got 50% of female, 47 males, and so on. But that pie chart works because there's only small. But as you can see, there's those little guys there, impossible to read. but you only have a few quadrants, so it could work. This one is one I also picked in some of the groups. It looks nice because the color coding is nice. But what you could do for that kind of situation to make it better, you could sort the chart that way. So the bigger the top. I guess the biggest feedback I had with this one was the colors are very close, as you can see, and the upcoding doesn't quite make sense. You don't really understand why. This one I choose like a hue of orange and then red. The color looks good, but that doesn't quite make sense. What probably make more sense if I was coloring based on the impact payment. So if I drag impact payment, so I'm actually control clicking and dragging at the same time. So you might want to change the if you're sick of the blue, you can just stick a different color. But at least now the color coding is based on the number. So same thing apply. I would just stick labels in there. Another trick as well is when you got so many of those guys there, it might make sense to start grouping them. So that is called education. So I'm going to take that metric. I've done one there, so I'm just going to show you how to group them. So you take that dimension, you right click, you create a group, and in there you basically control or shift select, and you go. Let's say I'm going to use those two and go group. And you might say, and so on, 10 to 12 group, 10 to 12. So you basically group all your elements, 7 to 9. If it makes sense, obviously I'm just coming up with random grouping, but you might say, oh yeah, all that stuff is university education. University. Let's put all that stuff just for the fun of it. Click add to university. Here you go. So now I've got 4 groups, so they're not correct. I've just created them randomly, but it's just for you to basically to show you how that works. And then I'm going to display that in rows instead. Sorting again, but you can see that this time I've got, if I just make the chart a bit bigger, use the entire view. Now I've got, I've just grouped the qualifications. I might just align to have the number here. Something I can just, as I said before, formatting, number, currency, million. There we go. Something that you might have noticed, you might have some nulls as well in your data set. So you can just click, exclude, and Tableau actually creates a filter in there. So now I've got 4 groups, and I've got the impact payment. And you can do whatever you want in there. Edit axis, change the title, or if you want, hide. And same thing, just make sure you update the title there to something meaningful. Another trick that I haven't seen too much is this one. I'm displaying all the CCs by payment amount. So what you could do potentially, there's lots of them. 391. You can see there's 391 there. You can sort that, but there's still a lot. And those, it might not be useful to have a huge scroll like this. So what you could do, and that's a top filter I want to show you. You basically bring the CC ID. So if I'm going CC ID, my data set, bring that to filter, go top by field. So it's it's basically sorting by the payment amount, which is this one. And you could say show me the top 30. Let's see now. I'm only displaying the top 30. So you can choose what will be the top. It's up to you to decide. Same apply, just display the number. I guess the caution with this one, because you've sorted it and it will be a screenshot so the user won't see it. I would in there include in my title top 30 CC by payment or whatever. Just come up with a guide title, but the big takeaway is make sure you tell your audience that you're filtered by the top whatever you filter. Otherwise, this is a bit misleading. So I think you can just remove that, make the chart use a full view, but at least now you got a nice looking chart. You can even top it by just changing thermal formatting, aligning, removing that thing there. If you got a nice title and a nice chart, you can even play with the color, and that's even better when you got the gradient for the top one. I think it's something else maybe to top up. I might just remove those sheets I've created. And the last feedback I wanted to show is when people creating dashboards. So as you know, when you create a dashboard, you might just have a few sheets, a few data sheets into your dashboard. So I've had a lot of people asking me how many sheets per dashboard. So I think from what I can understand for your assessment, you need to do a screenshot for the data sheet, like those ones. But some people might want to include a dashboard screenshot. So go dashboard export image as almost like a impact segment or a bit of a summary at the top. So people were asking how many sheets you could have per dashboard. My response is really common sense, but usually 4 to 6, so 2 rows of 3 is usually the max, otherwise it gets too busy. One other thing I would encourage you to do is play with the formatting. As you can see there, by default is 1000 by 100, I think. But you can have something that's a bit larger, maybe wider, height and width. You can play with those ones. Even if it's a screenshot, I would still have a title at the top. Even your group name or whatever, but at least it's a bit of a context. Make this one a bit bigger than usual. Play with those to put a title in there. I think that was one of our feedback as well, is if you have a view with colors like this one, and you do a screenshot, let's say you want to do a screenshot of this one, or even the screenshot of the Excel sheet, which is this one, make sure you also include the color coding there, the legend. Because if you do a screenshot as it is, this one you got the numbers there, the colors are being encoded with the title, but still, it's always good practice to have the legends like those guys. So if you do the screenshot based on the dashboard, see this one there, it's kind of out of the way. So what you could do, you could make it floating and stick it there somewhere, or there close by. And then if you do a screenshot, the legend is with the color, so it makes more sense. So don't forget that. Sometimes you don't need those ones, so you can just remove them. It gives you more space. I don't know if there's any other type of chart I want to include. Like, let's say I want to have this one instead. Let's say I don't want this one anymore. See, that's another legend as well that you might want to consider including with your screenshot. So you go floating, because by default it's fixed. You remove those things, you clean up, and then you might want to stick this one there. You can even hide title and play with what's displayed in your chart, but it's kind of obvious that you got a range. And then as a next step is you go export image, and then that would export the dashboard as a PNG, or you export every single worksheet, export image. It does the same job, but at the datasheet level. And you can hide if you got a lot of sheets there in your dashboard. It'll just rename your dashboard with a meaningful name. And I don't know if you saw what I did. I've hidden all the sheets, so all those sheets there are used by dashboard. But if you got a lot of dashboard and a lot of sheets in there, you can right-click and hide. So they're all there, and you can even put some color coding. So when you work with multiple dashboard, multiple sheets, it's much easier. You're not losing track. So I hope that formalization was useful and would enable you to create amazing looking dashboard for your assessment. Thank you very much. Bye.